Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Season 3, Episode 3 of Dragon Prince. So yeah, we're here with another episode, and hopefully it's a little better than the last one, at least in terms of Callum and Rayla, because the last one was not quite with that. Oh, it's like we went back to kindergarten with the jokes that they were having and the names for the plants and just the concept of a lot of the plants. Um, but but the stuff with Ezrin was great, really. So, wonder if we're going to get more of that this time, if we're going to focus more intently on Callum and Rayla, maybe some other stuff. I don't know. We haven't really focused a lot on the bad guy. I can't think of his name right now. Um, but we haven't really focused a lot on him. He's been mentioned. I think he was shown very briefly in the first episode. Um, but that's about it. So I'm hoping we get a little more with him. Um, and yeah, I assume he's still going to be a driving force in this season. Now, I still haven't caught up with checking out more of the series. I still got to do that from the past and everything. Um, there's at least one reaction series I could check out for that, so I know of for sure. Um, so we'll just have to see. Hopefully, I'll start checking that back out again today. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely interested to get to more of this, and hopefully it turns out better than it had been again last episode. Don't really have anything else to say though, so yeah, we're just gonna get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow a link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this episode was packed full of a lot of shit. There was so much in it. And thankfully it was all really good. For better or for worse, but in terms of enjoyability, you know. um so I'm gonna try to get everything. If I miss something, I apologize. So let's start with the stuff back at the kingdom. So Ezrin once again meets with the neighboring prince and tells him the truth. He tells him about the dragon prince and everything, which is really surprising. I really didn't think he was going to do so, but I get why he did. So he tells him everything, but the neighboring prince is not hearing it. He thinks that it's just some kind of fairy tale and that it's not to be trusted. Most of Ezrin's advisors seem good with this, but one of them shows a little hesitation and distrust. He ends up meeting with the prince, and they go off to see Viren together, which can only be bad. Viren, meanwhile, is still in communication with his friend, to use that word for it, I guess. Um, and he is alerted beforehand about his children coming to see him, so he makes himself presentable, and he tricks them. Most notably, Claudia. Soren is not, like, convinced of his bullshit, but unfortunately Claudia is, and I think that was a thing. Like, Claudia was definitely closer to him, if I remember right, just because of the dark magic connection and everything. So I understand why she's still falling into this trap. and believing him, but at the same time, it's like, my God, it's like, Claudia, come on, see past his bullshit. Um, and so yeah, we also saw Amaya being kept as prisoner by the Sunfire Elves. And at first, she's questioned and everything with them, with the warrior we saw using a translator for the sign language and everything. And Amaya throws some major sass, which is amazing. But they bring her before the queen and end up giving her this test after the soldier, the general, who is the younger sister of the queen, insists on it, noting how Amaya was different than other humans that she's encountered. So they do the tests and find that Amaya is pure of heart. And the queen agrees to allow her to live, just wanting her to be taken away, basically. So things were lucky there, but Amaya does not seem to have come out of that all right. She definitely seemed upset. She was crying. Whatever that was fucked her up. And I hope everything ends up going well and that she ends up getting away in the end, one way or the other. But it's like, I really, really hope she ends up okay. Um, and then the big thing was with Rayla and Callum. So I mentioned in the pre thoughts how I did not like what they were doing before with this, with the plants and everything named like these really stupid juvenile names, and just all the jokes and gags of this area being stupid and juvenile. Um, and I was worried that it might continue to take that route, but no, this episode was extremely serious with Raylan and Calla, Raylan and Calla, yeah. No, Rayla and Callum's side of the story. It was very serious, but also really emotional to a point. Um, so Rayla and Callum reach her home, but finds out that she's been ghosted. Which it's like that was such a clever way to integrate something so silly. Well, to be fair, being ghosted in real life isn't a silly thing. For those who don't know, what it basically means, if you somehow don't know, it means when someone starts to just completely ignore you. Like if you're ghosted by someone, they ignore you, they ignore your messages. A lot of times they'll just completely remove themselves from your life in every way so that you'll have no contact with them, you'll have no way of ever seeing them, they won't acknowledge you, etc., etc. It's basically like the ultimate, well, ignorance of a person. And usually people do it as a way to escape like bad relationships or whatnot. But sometimes people will also do it for less than noble reasons. Not that necessarily escaping a bad relationship is noble, but you know what I mean. Um, Sometimes people do it just to kind of be jackasses, and some people will ghost those they start a relationship with no reason or no real warning or anything. In fact, most of the time it's done without warning. But I like the way they integrate that into this by having it so like when they come back, Rayla finds out she's been ghosted, and in this case, it means that there's a literal spell that's been placed to where she can no longer have any kind of contact with them. Like they can't see her or hear her or anything like that. She's a ghost to them. And it's a really clever way to do that. Um, However, apparently there's a flaw in that magic to where she can still be seen through reflections and she can still hear them speak, though they can't hear her. So this allows her to have a short amount of communication with her leader's boyfriend. Um, we remember the leader. I think he's being held captive at the moment too. I think he's still a prisoner as well, if I remember right. He hasn't been shown this season yet, but outside of the flashback we got in this episode. But anyways, we get to see his boyfriend here, who's apparently like a blacksmith or something. He clearly uses magic, as we see too. Um, so at first he is just like the others. He went through with the spell as well because he also believed Rayla abandoned them, though not out of malicious intent necessarily, but still. And he, of course, was upset about it because his boyfriend was there, and he was upset by that, and that's fair. But he also comes around in the end. He comes down to where they're waiting by this like little pool where it tells you the status of the people who went on the mission and everything. They do this little magic thing beforehand, and he manages to uh, temporarily undo the spell with her, and so they get the chance to talk. She explains things, and he meets Callum, humors his stupidity. Like that entire like wood blood elf gag was so dumb, but in a good way. That was actually dumb in a good way because Callum's dumb. Let's be honest. Callum is very dumb. um, but they get to talking, and he agrees to help them. He gives them these mounts. He, after seeing the Dragon Prince, he agrees to send word to the Dragon Queen, who's dying, presumably of brokenheartedness after her mate had died. Um, because that is a thing that can happen, at least in real life, to humans. Like, you can die of a broken heart. And it's more along the lines of a broken heart can actually cause a lot of other like emotional, mental, and even in some cases physical issues. It's not so much the actual like emotion itself that's causing the problem. It's what it creates and what comes of it, basically. It's a complicated thing that I don't know all of the information about, but it's something I've like looked into and heard about before and seen videos on. um, so he's gonna send word to the Dragon Queen about this, but he also sends out an arrow to his lover. At least that's what he made it sound like. So does he know his that he's alive, or is he just kind of hoping, or what's the deal with that, I wonder? Hmm. Because it even showed in the pool like the general's uh flower was still in there. It was below the surface, but it was still there. It hadn't completely sunk or anything, which kind of implies to me that he's in bad condition but is still alive. Like he's basically on the verge of death. Maybe that's what it is. But Rayla and Callum head out. And yeah, it was just really good. There's a lot of great emotional stuff. We got to learn more about Rayla's home and about some of the people in it. And they got some help. So that was a big deal. And again, it was more entertaining and interesting and everything than what we got last episode with them. So I can dig that. um, I'm definitely interested to see where that goes now and what more we're going to see in the rest of Zadia going forward. I'm also wondering where that's going to go with the neighboring prince and the turncoat guard or soldier, whatever you want to call him, talking to Viren. Are they going to set Viren free? Because we saw that the turncoat paid off the guy who was guarding Viren. So it's clearly like there's something that's going to happen that's not going to be good. And the thing is, I assume it's going to have to be Soren and Claudia who are going to have to defend the kingdom along with the others who are there, the advisors and whatnot, against Viren if he is released. Because there's no way he would think that he would be just welcomed back or anything. There's no way he could think that he could just go back there and like they would accept it. No, not at all. So what would be his plan if he did get out? He would have to either escape and go somewhere else, maybe to meet up with the the voice in his ear, or he would try to do something drastic and bad, such as possibly trying to kill Ezrin, which would not go over well, and it's not like he would get the throne from that. So I don't know what his goal is here. But then again, it also didn't look like he was expecting them to come, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But either way, I just hope he this season either gets his comeuppance or at least is stopped from whatever plans he has so that the kingdom can still be safe and everything. And I don't want things to go too wrong, you know? We'll see. We'll see. But this was definitely a much better episode than the last, especially in terms of Callum and Rayla's side of the story. And I'm very excited to see what happens next. So tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.